Welcome to this explainer. I want you to imagine, just for a second, a king with wealth so vast, so incredibly enormous, that it actually breaks our modern understanding of money. We constantly talk about today's billionaires when we discuss extreme wealth. But honestly, even if you took the net worth of today's top tech billionaires and smashed them all together, it wouldn't even come close to this guy.
Okay, let's dive into this. What if one man's generosity crashed an entire economy? Picture taking a massive road trip, and just by casually tipping the locals along the way, you accidentally bankrupt an entire nation's economy for a solid decade. Now, this staggering economic event sounds like a total myth, right? Like something ripped straight out of a fantasy novel. But it's not. It is a very real, well-documented reality recorded by historians.
The man we're talking about is Mansa Musa. He was the 14th century ruler of the Mali Empire, and yes, historians widely consider him to be the richest person who ever walked the earth. But who exactly was this mysterious African king? Where did this unimaginable, almost legendary wealth actually come from? And how did just one single pilgrimage make his name famous across the entire medieval world? Well, let's figure it out.
Let's anchor our story in time. We're traveling all the way back to the 14th century, specifically around the year 1312. That's when Mansa Musa takes the throne. Now, to be fair, he didn't start from scratch. He inherited an already incredibly powerful West African kingdom with a massive geographical footprint. We're talking vast territories stretching across modern-day Mali, Senegal, the Gambia, and Guinea. It was a staggering amount of land to control, but under his ambitious leadership, this empire grew even richer and way more influential.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is exactly how they got so wealthy. The Mali Empire didn't just stumble into a fortune. They totally dominated the major trans-Saharan trade routes. They were literally sitting on the richest gold mines in the known world, massive salt reserves, and they controlled a highly lucrative ivory trade. And here's a mind-blowing fact for you. Back then, salt was so crucial for preserving food that it was sometimes traded ounce for pure gold. It's these specific, highly prized resources that combine to make the Mali Empire one of Earth's absolute wealthiest powers.
To really grasp his legacy, we have to look at the defining moments of his reign leading up to 1324. That is the year everything changed. The Golden Journey. We start with his ascension in 1312, where he spent his early years just consolidating power. Then we jump to 1324, when he embarks on this massive religious pilgrimage to Mecca. And finally, the post-1324 era, when he heads back home to rebuild and transform his empire. Let me tell you, that 1324 pilgrimage is exactly what made him world famous.
Because this wasn't just some casual road trip. It was a massive undertaking that boggles the mind even today. Step 1. Mobilize an estimated 60,000 men. That's soldiers, merchants, and 12,000 personal attendants, with each attendant carrying heavy gold bars. Step 2. Load up dozens upon dozens of camels, with every single camel carrying hundreds of pounds of pure gold dust. And step 3, distribute that gold for gifts, charity, and expenses all along the thousands of miles of the route. I mean, just picture the sheer sensory overload of this unmatched royal caravan trekking across the blistering desert sand. The chaotic sounds of 60,000 people and animals, massive clouds of dust kicking up into the air, the blinding glint of gold under the blazing sun. The sheer scale and footprint of this journey were absolutely unparalleled.
As this enormous caravan reached Cairo in Egypt, Mansa Musa was just incredibly generous. He donated gold to the poor, he rewarded scholars, and he handed out these lavish gifts to local officials. But here is the crazy part. His generosity was so extreme that he inadvertently created a massive lesson in supply and demand. By flooding the market with so much gold, the supply massively outstripped demand. He essentially devalued the world's most precious metal overnight, causing devastating hyperinflation. The value of gold plummeted so hard that it took the Middle East over a decade to economically recover. Historians still talk about this journey as one of history's absolute wildest displays of royal wealth.
Now, it's super easy to only remember Mansa Musa for those legendary riches, right? The unprecedented gold, the massive caravan crashing Cairo's market. But honestly, that's only half the story. This is really a tale of two legacies. The true turning point was his return home, where he transformed his immense physical wealth into lasting, intangible cultural wealth. After coming back from his pilgrimage, he invested heavily in education, architecture, religion, and regional scholars. We really have to juxtapose the sheer amount of physical gold he spent on the road with the permanent cultural foundation he built upon his return.
So the crucial point is how he applied that wealth back home, specifically by transforming the city of Timbuktu. He funded the construction of magnificent architecture, most notably the famous Jingor Riber Mosque, which, incredibly, still stands today. He welcomed scholars from so many different regions and established a renowned medieval center of learning, including the University of Sankore, which housed hundreds of thousands of historical manuscripts. By attracting students, scientists, and teachers from distant lands, he completely turned Timbuktu into a famous, thriving hub for both commerce and world-class knowledge.
Centuries have passed, yet the story continues to fascinate historians and researchers all around the world today. His wealth became legendary for sure, but his true legacy proves a pretty timeless point. A ruler's greatest legacy is not only what he owns, but what he builds for future generations. His reign was defined by this incredible ambition for education, brilliant public works, and profound cultural development that far outlasted his legendary net worth.
Which brings us to a final, provocative thought for you to ponder today. Was Mansa Musa simply the richest man in history, or was he a visionary leader who transformed an empire through wealth, learning, and ambition? Let us know what you think down in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this explainer, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications for more incredible stories from the past. Because history is full of secrets, and we've only just begun.